Yes, hello and welcome to Club Prairie Fire, Season 2, Episode 2, the home of tequila, tabasco and the Duckworth-Lewis system. I mean, what an exciting time to be an Aussie or a Pom, and what a great time to have a podcast with both. Lots to chat about on today's podcast. Obviously, only 7 weeks until the World Cup. We'll be going through a few squads, that sort of thing. England has, well, there's a big announcement about somebody coming back into the team. We'll get into that. Snakes on a pitch. Ollie, the producer, has found some remarkable vision of something that went down at the game that managed to scare everybody off the field. And finally, of course, we'll be finishing with our Club Prairie Fire toast. But before we do any of that, I need to bring in the other stars of this show. Portugal, I believe, Michael Vaughan. Perth, Adam Gilchrist. And Sydney, the producer, Ollie. Welcome, boys.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hello. Pro, can I just bring some... I was in Mexico, obviously. I escaped. I got told to leave because of obviously what's going on there. They're a bit worried about El Shito, so I was given the cold shoulder, really, get out.
Fair enough.
So I managed to escape Mexico. I did go to Portugal just to say hello to the family, but I'm back home now, obviously celebrating the Lionesses. So we've got a long party that started last night, and it goes right through till Sunday.
Well, I guess that's where to start, right, Gilly? I mean, there was a bit of chat overnight on the WhatsApp group between the two teams. Unfortunately, we lost.
We did. Sorry, Prof. Gents, good to see you. Good to chat. I'm still giggling at that intro where you said, did you say Season 2, Episode 2?
Season 2.
That's outstanding.
Look, we got shut down in Season 1 because somebody didn't read the contract correctly.
Oh, well, it's good to know that we're alive and well, and we are kicking a bit more than what our beloved Matildas are, no doubt about it. They did the nation proud, but they were just outplayed, weren't they, by a better team last night. Well done, England. Well done, Ollie, Vaughany. Congrats, and go well on Sunday in the final. And, gee, what I didn't know, and which I think everyone in the world of football knows now, that only Germany previously and England get the chance to join the men's German and women's German teams to have held or won both World Cups, the men's and women's. So I would love to see England now go on and complete that little bit of work. Or if Spain win, they'll join their Spanish men's team as well. So exciting stuff.
Now, Ollie, you were out.
Can I just...
Yep, go, Vaughany.
Pro, can I just bring something to your attention? Ollie, can you just research this? Has Australia turned into England over the last few months? Because if you go back 20-odd years ago, we used to play really boring cricket and get kind of pummeled by an Australian juggernaut of aggression and positivity. We now do that and the Aussies don't. And also, many, many years ago, you know, in the Euros, the men's team, we lost in a semi-final to Germany on penalty, and we celebrated losing. Oh, great effort. And the Aussies are now celebrating losing the semi-final in the World Cup. There's something gone on in the last few months, Ollie. Can you just research that?
Yeah, I'll check it now. I do believe there is a bit of imposter syndrome, and they're trying to be us because we're succeeding so well, is what it looks like anyway.
Can I just say that, Gilly, I don't know what it was like in Perth today, but the middle of winter, it was 22 degrees and perfect sunshine here in Australia. So we will never be stupid fucking England because the weather is too good.
And you got a few big mouths over there that do think they're aggressive Australians who can't say a good word about anyone else. They got to talk rubbish the whole time. So can't be humble. But no, outclassed, no doubt about it. Are you going to get Ollie? You're in Sydney. Are you likely to get along to the final, or you'll be working on it, will you?
Working on it in the final. I was there last night, and I actually have some breaking news, Vaughany, which you'll enjoy. The English did win. And I don't know if you saw this, but they changed the ball for the game, and this is no joke. It's a brand new ball. I've got the FIFA article here, and they brought a new ball that was orange and gold to show Sydney's skyline, and it's got a new microchip to give more information inside it about the shot. So it was genuinely a brand new ball for the semi-final.
Ollie, can you just check that? Can you just check that ball wasn't from 1966?
Actually, the boys, Davey Warner put some good tweet action out there, didn't he? Saying make sure they don't change the ball. And was it Usman? I think followed it up with the 2010 Jubilani. Remember that one? one of Adidas's great
Yeah.
inventions. But no, I mentioned that the final. I've had the good fortune of, I said that the men's Spanish team won the World Cup, didn't they? I was at that game in Johannesburg, 2010. It was actually the coldest night I've ever had in my life. It was freezing, but funny little story there. And Vaughany, you know that at this stage of our lives, one of the beautiful things about the cricket careers we're fortunate to have, you can pretty much go anywhere in the cricketing world and you can pick up the phone and ring either a former teammate or more likely an opponent if you're overseas and catch up for a beer and regale old times. And it's a really nice part of the careers we were very fortunate to have. So I went to Johannesburg with Castrol, the sponsor, and had a couple of nights there. And I thought I'll give Mark Boucher and Jack Callis and Ian, Graham Smith a call and see if they've got to be around the World Cup. They've got to be here at the final. And sure enough, they were. We had a night out. I must admit, they took a strong liking to the Prairie Fire. I thought it was wonderful fellowship that they were keen to be a part of. Cut a long story short, because it was a long night, but the next day I had one promo to do for Castrol. All I had to do at this big event, branded, Castrol were one of the major sponsors of the World Cup. Arsene Wenger was there at that time. I think he was still current Arsenal coach. If not, he was only just finished, but he was there as the big ambassador. And I was a bit nervous. I had one of the South African players there. They'd obviously weren't playing that day, but I was a bit nervous and not feeling real flash after a night on the Prairie Fire. I had one job to run up and kick a penalty at a kid in goals. And I ran up and I did the D. Beckham slip, completely slipped out from underneath myself, managed to just contact the ball. And in golfing terms, it wouldn't have made the ladies' tee. And all this in front of a big crowd and Arsene Wenger standing there. So that was my World Cup moment. But, geez, it was an amazing event. They are truly global events. And it's going to be the same again in Sydney on Sunday, just without the Aussie team there.
Yeah. Now, Ollie, I did want to ask you, how do you know that England won? Because you sent vision from your seats, and they were the shittest seats. I didn't know they had those at the stadium. Were you on the roof?
Some of us, Prof, do this for free in the love of it, and we don't get paid for podcasting. So that's the excellent. And I was just a ball boy who got a little bit of time off before kickoff, so it was good to see.
Isn't that all of us not getting paid for podcast? Is someone earning something here?
Not me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Castrol, please.
Ollie, Ollie, out of that, was there 81,000 in the stadium? Is that correct?
79,000. They said, yeah, it was pretty full.
Yeah. How many would you say were from? Well, not how many were supporting England?
Under 2,000.
Well, that's good. That's good, Ollie. You're a part of something very, very special.
Absolutely.
Did you have your shirt on? Did you have your England shirt on?
Glad you've asked. Talk amongst yourselves, gents. Actually, talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Hey, wait, just while he's going to get this, Vaughany, I was at Ollie's place doing some work in the afternoon, and when he comes back and puts this on, just so you know, he packed an Australian shirt as well, just in case, because he's got dual passports, mate. Look at this.
Ollie.
Yeah,
Ollie, is that Ollie? Ollie, is that correct that you had an Australian shirt waiting
for my Australian friend who joined me at the game straight from work?
Mate,
Ollie,
you were meant to be on the football game, weren't you? Not Hawaii. What is that?
This was
what is that shirt?
This was their. I think it was. Big shout out to Tesco for their party shirt for the World Cup.
You can always tell when a podcast is struggling when we're throwing out that many brands.
Anybody. Jesus Christ. Hey, now, I don't know. Hey, Vaughany, has the fallout from the lack of connection? Obviously, there's been a lot of people saying, and I hate to say, but Piers Morgan was trying to connect this particular match to somehow avenging what Australia did to Bairstow. Do you know? Have you heard anything from inside the locker room? Is that the last thing that the Lionesses were talking about before they ran out? Were they saying, "Make sure we avenge Bairstow's stumping"?
Yeah. Well, what happened was Serena, the manager, got in touch with Baz McCullum, spoke to Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes went onto a video screen into the dressing room, and the girls just went, Ben, And it's the last thing. There'll be an Amazon doc or Netflix doc that'll come out in a year or so, and it's the last thing that the team did. And what happened was, I mean, again, it'll come out in the documentary. The 3 MCC members that were banned that were flown over to Sydney, and they were in the dressing room as well, and they gave the speech to the team how important it was for this England football team to completely put to bed what the Australians did to Johnny Bairstow. And as they all were leaving the dressing room, Johnny himself was there with his head down, and they had to kiss his ginger hair as they left to go onto the field. And that is why they won.
Unbelievable. I mean, how do you...
Great scenes.
Well, the other thing that made waves over here was Tim Cahill. And I wanted to ask you two guys, as ex-athletes that did well at what you did internationally. Timmy Cahill, he made a bit of an error in judgment, and he posted... That's a polite way of putting it, Gilly. He posted vision on the day that the Matildas are playing a semi-final of himself scoring 2 absolute crackers in the World Cup, saying "Happy Matildas Day." Now, Gilly, let me ask you: have you ever, when let's say day 5 of the Ashes, or whatever, ever thought about posting something like "Good luck, boys, score a ton. This is how I did it in 57 balls"?
Well, it's actually, as you say, that one other person that we know and love, or knew and loved, the great Shane Warne. God love Vaughany, but it reminds me of him. He used to, it was around June, I suppose, every year on Twitter. And then as Instagram showed up, he would, the Gadding ball on the anniversary of whenever that date, what it was, let's say it's the 20th of June, Vaughany would post the ball, which, as we know, is magical. And he'd go, "I can't believe it's 20 years or 19 years or 21 years. And the comments below, one of them that struck me that I remember clearly, God love him, someone posted, "You can't believe it. Why not? You fucking post this every year. It shouldn't be any surprise." Which I thought was a beautiful response, but Warney would have carved back into him. I don't know.
I think we should take a leaf out of what Tim did. And I think we should decide amongst ourselves on this pod of what anniversary we should recreate ourselves. So I'm more than happy to recreate Dale Steyn knocking my off stump out the ground on many occasions. So I might need a few days, if that's all right. Can I take up 4 or 5?
Vaughany, I would love for you, when England needs a few wickets, to post you dispatching of Sachin. I think that could inspire a few people.
Yeah, maybe that's Do you want to see the ball again? I've got it here somewhere. It's on the wall. Yeah, it's up there. The missus has actually put it on the wall. I can't get it off. She's put it on there.
Do you have those tour groups still coming through to have a look at it during the day, or have they eased?
Yeah, it's busy. They're queuing up now. What we do, we just they're out there. Yeah, they're queuing up. We only let about 150 in a day. Don't charge them too much. Just ask 1 or 2 of them to walk the dogs. That's enough.
Hey, just quickly, I don't know if you're going to move off the Women's World Cup finally here, but something that struck me in that tournament, the women's game, there's no acting. There's no rolling around feeling like you've been hit by a bus just because someone bumped you. How good was that? That was refreshing.
Yeah. Gilly, it's becoming quite. The Premier League in the UK is massive. It's monstrous. It's just a juggernaut of huge success. But God, there's a load of bullshit in it. Yeah. Crikey, there's some shit. The actual the drama is unbelievable, and the crowds and the TV audience. But God, you see some play acting. Whereas the women's game, I mean, it's just it's a joy to watch. Yeah. I mean, we have the best team in the world, and whatever happens on Sunday night. I think England will have enough to win the World Cup, but I just think the way they play, the way that they act, the way that they celebrate, it's just an actual fact in the stadium. If you take your family to watch the women's game, you actually feel safe.
Yeah.
If you go to, I love English football. I go to watch Sheffield Wednesday all the time, but crikey, you wouldn't want to take your young kids to a football match these days.
Yeah.
You've no idea there could be a flying banana, there could be all sorts that hit you on the back of the Swede. As you just stood there or sat there watching a game of football. You don't feel ultimately safe watching the men's game in the UK. Women's, Fantastic. What I like about the Spanish team is they've made the final. And as you mentioned, Gilly, they could be like Germany, England winning, the men's and the women's World Cup. And their team don't even speak to their coach. The Spanish coach, the men, he doesn't even, they don't like him. They don't speak to him.
Oh.
There is like, and you mentioned the late great Shane Warne. He always thought coaching was for, well, you didn't need it. I reckon Warne would go great in this Spanish women's football team.
For a couple of reasons, I think they're Vaughany.
Maybe is that coach's name Justin Langer? Is that seems like deja vu?
He does say JL. I think Lopez JL. Yeah.
Very good.
You're right.
Funny, I was watching it with my wife, who's from Glasgow, and she doesn't watch a lot of sport, but she watched it for about 15 minutes, and then she said, why are all the fans sitting together? And then I had to explain that in Australia and in the women's game, you don't need an empty bay of seats with police lined up and down them, separating the fans. They're not going to kill it.
Yeah, no, and that came through on the TV coverage too. You didn't have to be at the venue to witness that. So, no, all round big tick, huge event. And I would say, I reckon that goal, Sam Kerr's goal, and I know it ended up being in not a winning cause, but as far as sporting moments in Australian history, I got Kathy Freeman up there, her 400-metre win with all the world, the weight of a nation on her shoulders. I reckon Damien Oliver, for those of the racing background, a famous Australian jockey who rode a Melbourne Cup winner about 2 weeks after his brother had passed away from a racing accident. 2002, I think. Media Puzzle might have been. And I reckon that Sam Kerr goal, they are three iconic sporting moments.
Yeah, and also put Johnny Bairstow being run out at Lord's 2023 in that.
That was perfect. What I love about the fact that Piers reposted that picture of Johnny, I love the fact that he was 2 metres out of his ground. Like, you dope, Johnny. You dope.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
I have breaking news on that. I believe a bit of breaking news on Piers. I think Piers will come on the Prairie Fire podcast. Just a bit of breaking news.
All right,
I think he'll show his face.
I think we might need to workshop that suggestion, Vaughany.
Yeah.
But what I want to try and get together, if we can get Piers on and then get Big Merv, because they had a bit of a ding dong, didn't they?
That might be worth it. Front row.
If we could get Merv and Piers on together, you know, we do need a few sponsors. Remember, so.
That's true. I want to move on to cricket. I think there, lads. First of all, there's still a bit of fallout from that lack of a beer after the Test match. I don't know if you guys heard Steve Smith during the week. He went on SEN. Did you hear this, Gilly?
Oh, yeah. Well, I read some snippets, but it was much similar to the commentary that had already come out, wasn't it? We knocked, got told 2 minutes. We knocked an hour later, got told 2 minutes, and just got jack of it and left. Yeah. Is there any more to that than that?
Well, I want to ask Vaughany, do you think it's because that the English team think the Aussies would bore them with just talking about?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I think there's there seems to be a lot made of this. I think England should have had a drink with the Aussies, just have one. But you know, when you've got such a boring team, why would you go and spend a bit of time with them?
Well, I had an opponent. I think it's Jamie Siddons. Played a lot for South Australia and Victoria. Brilliant. Probably the unluckiest Aussie not to play Test cricket. But he used to say, if I want to drink with them, I'd go and play in their team. So you never saw him come into your change room when you played against him.
Very good. Well, it was obviously Stokesy that came out and gave him the 2-minute warning and then did that classic thing of making them wait an hour. I mean, we've all done it to people we don't want to hang out with. But
I mean, I'm amazed. I thought they might just WhatsApp and just say, look, we just find you all very boring. Why don't you just piss off out the Oval and we're going to drink on our own?
Well, or the other better, they could have gone one better, England. They could have exited out and just pissed off. And the Aussies sitting there thinking England is still in there.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect
Gilly, you've got it there. England are quite a smart team. I thought they were very forward-thinking and trying to change the world of Test cricket forever. No, they were that smart. That's exactly what they'd have done. Is said, look, Aussies, we'll be in here in half an hour. You pop in half an hour. So what happens then is then the England team then disappear. When the Aussies come round, they're not there. That'd have been good.
That would have been a good story.
Yeah.
I would have chuckled at that.
Yeah.
They were just in the long room. They're at Lord's, the English, just in the room.
Yeah, with Humphrey and what was the other two names? Humphrey and Hingelbert.
They're getting MBEs, those three. I don't know if you saw the news, but they're part of for their work in it. But I think overall 3-2 Ashes score, as we've decided after last night. You know, that is just
is that official now, Ollie? Is that been made official?
Yeah, the papers today. It was everywhere. It was on all the papers. It's 3-2 England after last night. So that's good news.
So that's 3-2 in both the men's and the women's. Is that correct? After that World Cup semi-final win,
it's a double. Yeah, the last one's always double. Just like our quiz, it's always double for the last one.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
Nah, well done. I think they deserve it. They can claim that for sure. Wankers.
So obviously Stokesy was the one that gave them, as I said, the 2-minute warning. Big news, Vaughany, that none of us saw this coming when he retired the first time. Wow. What a scoop. Captain Courageous is back in the squad to play against New Zealand. Vaughany, is this right?
Well, is it me or are we in an era where, cricket is becoming like the heavyweight boxing world? How many times do the heavyweight boxers retire? And then suddenly someone dangles a $20 million check in front of their eyes. Oh, I'm back. I mean, I'm not too sure whether it's $20 million to get Stokesy back or Moeen back to play in the Ashes, but we do seem to be having. Why did they retire these people? What are they retiring from if they keep coming back?
Golf, yeah,
golf. Well, maybe that's what's bringing them back. The amount of golf that the England team are playing. That's why they're coming back. They can play more golf playing for England. He's an incredible cricketer. Understandably, you'd want him around, but I do have a bit of a problem that Harry Brook's not in that squad. I think Harry Brook is a different league, and I think he's got the game and the mindset and this freedom of thought to put anybody, and particularly the way that he plays spin. He's a brilliant player of spin, Harry Brook, and he can marmalise any spinners. He can hit sixes, reverse sweep, you name it. He's got the lot. He's got the full package for this generation. Ben Stokes not bowling. And Harry Brook not in the ODI squad. I'm not so sure whether England desperately needed him in ODI cricket. I'll be totally honest with you. They need his persona, they need his character, but I'm not too sure. I look at England's squad. I think there's only one change from 2019 to 2023. Is that right, Ollie?
Yep.
There's only one change. I'm not too sure whether England have stayed a little bit too loyal to that 2019 squad.
Is there any one you reckon that, say Stokes does come in, is there anyone else? I looked at Jason Roy, someone like that, who I think he has got a couple of hundreds maybe in recent times. It's been a while since they played the 50 over format, isn't it? But seemed to have sort of been up and down a fair bit since that World Cup. So might have been an opportunity there, but I don't know. You're a bit closer to it, Vaughany, about where he's positioned and the other opportunities to get a guy like Harry Brook in. Couldn't believe he was not named in that team.
Yeah, no, I think he's probably the player you'd look at, Jason Roy, at the top of the order, because England have 3 or 4 that you could put. You could put David Malan up to open. He's such a consistent player, and David Malan could open the batting. So I do think, Stokes gets in the squad, of course, but whether he gets in the team at the end, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly Harry Brook should have been another name that's not in that squad, and he's a gun. Is Will Jacks, and he bowls a bit of off spin as well and whacks it. So England have got a kind of a 20-odd players that you could pick in white ball cricket. They've got such a strong squad. But, Jason Roy will come under fire in the New Zealand series because he needs a few jocks.
And just quickly, what about there's a new name there, Atkinson, is it? The Quick?
Gus Atkinson.
Yeah, Gussie. I love a Gus. Gus Fraser is a bit quicker than Gus Fraser.
Oh, geez, that would not be tough to do. I am.
So what they've done is, what happens in selection these days is if you've had a Gus play for you in the past who bowls at 80 miles an hour, you've got to better that. So they've bettered that with 90 miles an hour. No, he's a class bowler. He's been around Surrey for a while, and they've had him on the radar. I think that their fingers are crossed still for Jofra Archer. if Jofra can suddenly find something in the next month or two, I think they would take a risk on Jofra Archer, but he'll have to prove his worth somewhere.
And obviously,
I reckon that.
I was just going to say,
I don't reckon the Mumbai Indians are going to allow that, mate.
Correct.
Now, obviously,
that's the heavyweight, isn't it? That's the check.
Yeah, that's
top dollar.
Now, obviously, that's a bit of a preview of the last World Cup final, which was a tie where both teams shared the trophy, which I think was a wonderful thing for international cricket. And I know both their names are written on the trophy. So as a bit of a treat today, guys, I love a quiz at the end here. It's going to be, we're flashing back 4 years, and it's a bit of a quiz on New Zealand versus England from 2019. That's just a bit of a tease, a bit more to chat about before we get there.
Just before we hop into that quiz, and I think it's a wonderful thing to have a quiz about that topic, given that shared trophy and the spirit with which it was all handled, particularly that one that ricocheted off the bat and went for 4, and they happily, gleefully accepted it. But did you talking about team selections and various teams around the world fine tuning as we head towards that 50 over World Cup? Did you see India, the Indian cricket team Instagram account put up a bit of vision? It said, "This is what we've been all waiting to see," and it was vision of Jasprit Bumrah, and he steamed into the nets and bowled one of the most vicious bounces ever to one of the batters in there. And then next shot, as he runs in and bowls an equally impressive Yorker that nearly rips the bloke's toes off. I reckon the Indian batters aren't really keen to be seeing him coming back into the net practice, but geez, that's good to see, isn't it? Because he is world class.
Yeah, I reckon if Bumrah's fully fit, India, if they can cope with the gas and the pressure, they're going to have to. They'll be favourites to win that tournament, because we know what happens in India. As soon as India desperately need a wicket, or should I say, desperately need a win, I think you'll find that the pitches will get a little bit dustier by the second.
Well, they've got a few bases covered. They've got a good quick bowling lineup, and then you got your spin options, haven't you? So that's good to see Bumrah back.
He hasn't played since September 2022, 3 T20s against Australia. So over a year it'll be the World Cup.
Yep.
Ollie, can you just clarify for us that that 2019 World Cup, it wasn't shared, was it?
No, this is a case of it's called being a suki suki la la, which is what they suffer from over here a fair bit. And England have the trophy, and it's on display beautifully. Yeah,
right next to the extras that you don't have.
Yeah,
no, that we do have now.
Gilly,
and the new football with the chip in it.
Gilly, just being an Aussie cricket fan, remind me how many times we've won the World Cup? Is it again, mate? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I've run out of because it's men's and women's as well. We're up into well over double figures. I need another set of hands, mate, to keep. Yeah,
but that's not that. That's you haven't won it that many times in the new world. The cricket world.
Not since Basball.
Yeah. Jeez, come on. That's all nullified. That's all in the boring age.
Yeah.
PB in cricket, it stands for pre-Basball. That's also been coming in the dictionary in the last few years in Collins. So just so you know, pre-Basball, everything's nullified.
Right.
Thank you, Ollie.
Which is the definition of Basball still the one where Stokesy declares too early, or is it the one where he bats for an extra day when he shouldn't? Which one is which one is it?
He can do both. He is the Basball guru. He can do both. That's most teams will try and copy Basball, and they won't be able to do both. He can do both.
Now,
he's an all-rounder.
Quiz in a sec, boys. But before we did, Gilly, we were chatting earlier. South Africa they've obviously named their ODI squad. Was there anything that jumped out there? Any names that shocked you? But also, they've named a squad to go to New Zealand.
Well, no, they've named, like most nations, a T20 and a one-day squad around this period of time. So white ball cricket. Yep. Devol Brevis, young 20-year-old. A lot of people will know him that follow the IPL. He was picked up by the Mumbai Indians on the back of, I think, being the leading run scorer at the T20 World Cup for under-19s a year or 18 months ago. And I think you guys, Vaughany or Ollie, you might know better than me. Did he play was he picked up on contract before he'd even played first-class cricket in South Africa?
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of
he went to Mumbai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's exciting. They call him Baby AB, don't they? AB de Villiers. Oh, looks dead ringer for him the way he plays his cricket. Exciting prospect. But the more concerning one for the traditional game, and I don't know whether now that we're talking PB, whether Test cricket's even acknowledged, but they've stated that they're not going to pick anyone in their Test team, South Africa, to tour in February to New Zealand. They're not going to pick anyone that's involved in their local T20 competition. So that pretty much rules out their top 40 or 50 players, I reckon. So that's going to be interesting to see who rolls out playing Test cricket for South Africa in New Zealand in Feb.
Gil, I'll be honest with you, in Mexico, I didn't get any of this South African news, and I don't generally look at squads that I know have no chance of winning the World Cup anyway. So I only look at England's squad and India's squad, to be brutally honest. So they're going to pick nobody. So who's going to get on that flight to New Zealand? It's a great trip, New Zealand. The wines are fantastic. Why wouldn't you want to go on that?
Golf, everything, fishing, whatever you want on that trip. I don't know. They called it South Africa Sea in the newspaper I read, but who knows? It's still a fair way off yet. They did. I think they did ask New Zealand to change the dates, but they weren't forthcoming.
See, if they were really smart in South Africa, they'd realise that they've got a number of players here in the UK that they could pick. We've got loads here they can have. Why not come and have their academy set up over here? Because we've got loads.
True. Now, first of all, I want to commend you guys. That was some great world news for cricket. We're going to be the one place for people to go for the world cricket news. I think that's what we want to be.
On that, Prof.
Yes, Ollie, yes.
Just Dewell Brevis, yes, spot on, Gilly. 2022 Cricket World Cup. He was top run scorer with 506. The next closest didn't even get to 400. And I think he had 5 innings, 4 of them, 96, 97, 104, and then 138. So he only 97.
Ollie, how many did he get against England?
Loads. It just says here. Yeah, loads.
Okay.
Vaughany, how long till
How long? That is a very, very good question. I know he spent a bit of time here because the Mumbai Indians reserve team come and play here every summer. And I know he came last summer. He might have been here this summer as well. So, look, he's on the radar. He's on the radar. It won't be long.
Vaughany, they didn't have under-19 World Cups around when you were 19 or 18, did they? Did you?
1998.
Right.
98 was the first one.
Okay. No, because they didn't. When I was going through our under-9, we had a 5-week tour to England. Had a big Ashes battle there, and fortunately, it was top and tailed by a week in Holland and a week in Denmark. Wonderful cricket learnings in those countries. I can promise you, as an 18-year-old.
Ollie, if you just have a look at the 1998 World Cup winners under 19s, can you just have a look at that?
Yeah, I've actually just pulled up. Brevis has just sent in a message here. He, in that game, got 97, which is nearly half of their runs, but England won that game by 6 wickets and knocked it over in 30 overs. But also, Brevis was also their top wicket taker in the game as well. He got 2 of the 4.
No, he's good.
Very good.
He's good.
Very good.
Yeah, but just check out 98, Ollie. I think you'll find that England might have won that World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they didn't, they still claim it was a moral win.
Yeah, I think Graham Swan might have been a part of that team.
They beat New Zealand, so that's probably a bit of an omen for what's to come. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, Vaughany, might be time to try and get another victory for England because it's quiz time. Unless there's anything else you want to cover off, boys, before we get into it. Gilly, you got anything else?
Can I just bring
fire away?
Just one quick one. This T10 Masters League in America. Gil, did you get the call?
I did get an expression. Well, I was sent the request if I was interested in partaking, and I wasn't. I never want to play another game of cricket again in my life.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some big now. I've been looking at the squad. There's some Finch's there. Aaron, he's over there. Jack Callis. Jack Callis. JK. Dave Hussey.
Yeah.
So
Nintini, he's playing. Monty Panesar.
So
Jesse Ryder.
Jesus.
Jesse Ryder.
Hang on, did you say Monty's? That might spark my interest. If Monty's playing.
Yeah. I thought that might be the case.
Hey, Vaughany, just so our listeners know, what is this T10 league that's happening in the US?
No idea. I have no idea what it is. T10 league. I'm guessing there's 10 overs and there's all these old players. Colonel Mustard, Phil Mustard's there. I've seen his name mentioned.
He's a ripper.
The Colonel. He's the fella that when he used to go to breakfast and the waitress used to come, how do you want your eggs? He'd just go cooped. Yeah, the Colonel's there. Fidel Edwards. Fidel from the West Indies, he's there.
Rockets.
Yeah, I've no idea about this league. It's just been hitting me on Instagram for the last few years. I'm good. You got the call, Gilly. I didn't even get the call. They obviously they've not got my new number. I could have been a revelation in T10.
Well, hang on, Vaughany. You know why you didn't get the call. The previous Masters Champions League that we were both a part of, right? I tore my hammy. You played so poorly in your first game, you became team manager. The Oil Mob didn't even...
No, Gilly, you've got that wrong. I actually didn't play a game.
You didn't play a game? There you go. I thought you played one and they were that embarrassed, but you didn't get a Guernsey.
No, I didn't play a game. I worked out the longevity was better in management at that stage. So I've not even had the phone call. That hurts. That goes in deep.
Yeah, that is nasty.
Right, I'm going to take over the quiz here because Gilly, you've got to go. So let's just do it nice and quickly.
Righto.
Okay. Beautiful. So, as mentioned by Prof, who's jetted off, still just salty from the defeat last night.
He just stormed out.
He just stormed up. He's gone. He's gone. But it is, to remember, one of the great wins of a trophy that wasn't shared, 2019 Cricket World Cup. So, first question. The commentator, will be remembered, is Ian Smith. And he gave a great line that has been remembered throughout. So the first one comes to you, Gilly, and then Vaughany, you can steal it if not. Can you remember what the line was that he said on the call? England have won, and then it's bye, and then a few words.
The barest of margins.
That is correct for 1 point. 1 point for Gilly.
That's very good, Gil. Very good, Gil.
What a class commentator he is.
All time. Now, there were many big moments in this game, Vaughany. So question number 2. Who was the Kiwi fielder who caught the ball and then stepped on the boundary rope? And the next
Ollie, that'll be Trent Bolt.
It was Trent Bolt, and it is also the only time my phone has ever blown up because the first cut on Sky Sports was my dad screaming, pointing at the rope, just going, it's stick. So he's never had it. Oh, we're 2 questions down. It's 1-1 Prof, and Prof's back. He's had a storm off. He was upset.
Back.
He's back in.
Settle down a bit.
If you're killing it here, you keep going, Ollie. You keep going with the questions.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're 1-0. Trent Bolt was correct. Okay, Gilly. Question number 3 for you. How many runs did England score in the last over of the game to get it to a super over? And a little help, it was the same amount of runs as both teams got in the super over.
I'm going to take a stab here at 15.
Gilly, it's very good. Very good. He's happy with that. 15 is bang on. That's correct. So, 2-1 to Gilly.
That's a good answer, that.
Okay, so there was obviously a big moment where the ball, where it's been referenced, hit the bat, went for 4. They were awarded 6 runs, which someone said was a clear mistake. Who came out, Vaughany, the next day on all media, everywhere he could be seen, a famous cricket official came out and said it was a clear mistake. Oh, Gilly thinks he's got it.
A cricket official, so someone very important.
I don't want to give away too much of a clue. Umpire.
I don't know if we ever think they're that important, these people.
Oh, it'll be Simon Taufel.
It is.
Well done.
Very good.
Clear mistake. Spot on. 2-2. Well, this could be the first time full house. Okay, over to you, Gilly. England won. That's undisputed. But in the Super Over, can you name each of the fast bowlers who were chosen to bowl that over for each side? You pick fast bowler.
The Super Over for each team.
Yeah.
Well, Jofra Archer. And I'm just trying to think who... Jesus, who bowled? It was a bit of a... It wasn't Bolt, was it? It was...
Richard Hadley.
Sir Richard, please.
I was thinking more Martin Snedden, but...
Got Cyrus.
Scotty Cyrus.
Jesse
Who was in
Ryder.
there?
Jesse.
I'm going to go...
Chris Harris.
I don't reckon I'm right here, but I'm going to say Tim Southey.
It was Trent Bolt. It was
Bolt. I thought there was someone... Yeah.
You've got half a point. That's okay. Yep. So, Vaughany, similar to you.
Half a point? Half a point for what?
For getting Jofra Archer.
So if he gets this right, he wins it.
Wins the Ashes, yeah.
Yes, he does. Vaughany, who fielded the ball and threw it in to Joss Butler?
That'll be Jason Roy, Ollie.
That is the correct answer. Michael Vaughan, well done.
Hey, Vaughany, you were actually commentating at the time, weren't you, for Test match?
What are you doing? Hey, Pro, what are you doing back? Ollie's taken over.
Look, I'm happy to duck out, and this is it. I'm happy to... It's been real, guys. Season 1 was amazing. Season 2, just as good.
To finish, we need a cheers to finish.
We do. Look, absolutely. Sorry, Prof, what do you got?
I was just going to say... Ollie, can you real quickly tell people where to find us on socials, please?
Yeah, absolutely. At Club Prairie Fire. At Club Prairie Fire is where you find us. We've potentially got some big guests lined up in the next few.
Yeah.
So here's to good health.
What are you
Ollie, just checking it. Are we still number 1 in Croatia and France? And
yeah, we're back to number 1 with the French
Holland.
cricket, and that's the big one because they're still the Olympic champions, and that is, from 1908 to the Olympics, I think it was. So that's the big one that matters. France.
Yeah, I've got a bit of because we're obviously going to be called El Shito when obviously I can get back into Mexico to sort it. I've got El Rayo.
Oh, what is that?
Whatever this is. No idea.
Is it tequila?
But it was on my shelf. Well, the Casamigo disappeared. The Tufnell Casamigo is gone, but it is tequila. El Rayo.
Wow, very good.
Bitter orange. A bit of orange in this one.
There you go. Well,
cinnamon.
Interestingly,
cinnamon.
My Patron from the last episode's gone as well for some reason. I don't know why. So I've got another one. I want to promote the brands because that's all I'm doing this for. This one, Fletcher Azul. This is Mark Wahlberg's stuff that he's out there flogging. So I'm going to pour a bit into here. And the other thing that we've got to do, I hope you've put your appropriate amount of Tabasco in there.
Yes.
Just the 3 drops for those debutantes, at least 3 for a Prairie Fire drink. Hey,
you can smell the orange in there.
We chuckle away. Modern technology allows us to sit around the world and do what we think is a poor form of broadcasting. Let's toast one of the great broadcasters. Today we found out as we record this, Michael Parkinson has passed away. So, mate, he, I think we'd all agree, as a man that led the way, pioneered the way, and showed us all how to do it. Here's to him.
Parky.
Cheers.
Cheers, Parky. Oh, jeez.
There you go.